Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. And today I'm joined by Prakhar Agrawal, who is the CEO and co-founder of SenseLoaf. Excited to be jumping in, having some conversation on what, today, time of recording is a Friday afternoon. It's sunny, it's beautiful, and just get to have some conversation on entrepreneurship, on business in general, and all that sort of thing. So excited to have you on. Thank you for being the guest here today. And why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us the we'll call it the 10,000 foot view. Give us the just the basic context of kind of who you are and why you started the company, and a little, maybe just a little bit on what y'all do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Senator. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And I'm also based in Central Texas. And as he mentioned, I'm Prakhar Agrawal, CEO and co-founder of SenseLoaf AI. About our business, so we are a smart talent experience platform. So what we basically do is we automate the top of the recruitment funnel for high volume hiring companies. So any companies that need to hire every month, say like at least 5 to 10 jobs, we completely automate the top of the recruitment funnel, but the key is we also personalize the experience for both the candidates and the recruiters. So eventually, every candidate feels like they have been heard, irrespective of the fact if they get hired or not. So like you're able to build like a good culture, good brand about the company, and the candidate doesn't feel disappointed, like nobody cares about them or nobody's getting back to them. So that's our whole idea is like how do we bring people together, like through means of technology, especially when you are looking for a new job.
Very cool. And what, maybe give me just a little bit further background on what led you to co-found the company. Like what drew you to this, the industry overall, or just kind of this company specifically? Is this like the first company you've co-founded? Do you have kind of a, past history in kind of this world and like that as well? But maybe give us just a little bit deeper context on the history leading up to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is my first company. So we started this company back in 2019 officially. I mean, we started talking about it in 2018, me and my co-founder, Gautam. I've known him for over 15 years. But when I started, I was working for a startup in Boston, actually. And when I was trying to change my job off, it was a super cool startup. I had my master's degree and all of it. So, you have this confidence. Oh, like, when I'm going to switch a job, it's going to be like super easy. Like, people are going to be like falling all over the place to like hire me. But it took me 6 months to find my second job. And
Mm.
I did everything, right? You like, walk into staffing firms, fly to career fairs, apply online, like do personal branding, everything like they ask you in the book to do, right? Like to find a job. Probably applied to like thousands of jobs. And in the end, I can never forget this. Like I got a call from a recruiter and she called me and she asked me, hey, are you adaptable enough to do this? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, it's a highly technical job. I mean, this is the company. I know like what you do something, but it's too technical for me. Like, can you do it? Like your profile seems like you have done some cool stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I think I can do it. Like I looked at the job profile. And in that moment, I realized like she like it was a job for an R&D department in a company like a mechanical engineer job, and she was like she don't get it because she's working on so many different jobs. She
Mm.
herself is struggling to fill these roles, different roles for this company. So I got to the interview the next day. I did the interview, it went well, and they hired me. Like, and they were like, "Yeah, we've been trying to fill this role for like months." I'm like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?" Right? There are so many people on the job market, and there's so many people like so there's something which is missing, and so that's why I was like, you know what, there needs to be an automated system which can cut through this repetitive or this manual process of handling huge amounts of data in the right way. So I was like, okay, I don't know how to code. So I mean, I know about technology. So I started connecting like to all the people in my network. So my co-founder, Gautam, I've known him for 15 years. Like we went to undergrad together. So he's an AI engineer, and he himself had experienced something in a completely different market. So I was in US, he was in a different country, and he was leading a data science team for a startup. Like there were 15 people working under him, and he was struggling with recruiters. Like recruiters don't understand what I'm trying to say. Like they give me all like the shitty profiles, and like at the end I have to do it by myself. So he was like, you know what, like let's do something. So independently, like both of us have decided that we wanted to do something in the recruitment space, but we didn't know what and how and with whom. So we both got reconnected because of this need. Like both of us felt in like two completely different settings. And when we connected, we were like, yeah, we need to do something. And like you have the technology, like I understand the market, so I think it's a good fit. And and he was working on some cool technology where you can understand what you have written in a document, especially in recruitment space, like you understand, and then you can match it to the requirements. So that led to us starting this company where we will automate the matching of resumes to jobs without any bias and get them to the next step, hopefully.
Oh, that's so cool. I love the journey. I love the story behind it. So setting the stage, kind of giving the context of where your business was versus where it is
Yeah.
today. I think that's always kind of helpful for the conversation to just kind of connect some of the dots, that sort of thing. So got a co-founder, business partner out there that's able to kind of help you along this journey, or help one another, that sort of thing. Jude, as you continue to grow from 2019 to today, are there other business partners in the business as well? Is it just the two of you? Like how is it, like bootstrap? Did you take on like investment to be able to grow it? Kind of what did that journey look like for you?
Yeah, so we are the only two main partners. We did hire more people, but we never put anybody on the founding level because initially me and Gautam spent a lot of time just understanding what it's to like. We both had nothing, so that was, I think, a different kind of experience. But yes, we were able to raise funds from angel investors, so that gave us some leeway. And I think the biggest thing that happened in this journey was the year 2020 when COVID happened. Right, like we were super excited in 2019 to start this recruitment journey. We launched our product. We have our MVP. We had some initial customers in New York, Boston. We had a strong pipeline by like January 2020 and March. Just everything vanished. Uh, and by this time, we hadn't raised any money. So we have a product. We have some initial
Mhm.
customers. We were like, okay, we're getting the MVP. We're getting the traction. People are liking what we're doing. We have built some integrations, and yeah, it just all vanished in March because the funny, I wouldn't say right now you can think back and laugh, but like the people we were working with, like who were a point of contacts, like how you have a champion when you're selling B2B, they got fired, right? So like, who do we talk to, right? And nobody was talking about hiring in that time. So that time was a very interesting point for us because that made us rethink about the product, the journey, what we need to do, and we actually had to do a pivot, which actually
Mhm.
is helping us right now. Now when you look back, that was and later down that year, we raised our first angel round, surprisingly. I'm still surprised how we did that. But from there, I think we have gone through a lot of ups and downs. But after that, we have been bootstrapped. Since now.
Very cool. So I'm curious, as you went through the beautiful time that all of us went through in March, April of 2020, and especially in the recruitment space, and like things just like
Yeah.
came to a halt, right? How did you, like, individually, how did you manage through that? Like I imagine there's stress and frustration, like thoughts going through the head of like, what are we gonna do? How did you manage through that process individually?
Mostly, I think like how everybody else did, like we were all catching up with the events, right? Uh, and I think it was changing every month. So I think initially we had no idea what was going on, right? Like what's going to happen to the world. I think we were all worried about our personal safety, but slowly on LinkedIn, you started seeing that, hey, we are in this together. And then you started seeing those, like, do you remember those Excel spreadsheets that were circulating where people were just submitting the information, hey, we are looking for a job, and there were like multiple just sheets just going around. Nobody was doing anything, but just people were submitting the information. Hey, we lost the job. We lost the job.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
during that time, I think that gave me a spark of hope. So I was discussing with Gautam. He's like, we actually have some technology that can help, match this crazy amount of volume. Uh, to like these so many jobs. Like there were still companies that were hiring, they were trying to, but I think it was too emotional and too overwhelming for everyone, like both who were hiring, who were getting lost. So it was an overwhelming time emotionally for everyone. So like I think we can do something. So we launched a small campaign, free of cost. We had no money, but we were like, you know what, we'll do it. So that gave us a little bit of hope, even though it didn't work out exactly how we hoped it would, but that gave us a sense of purpose during that time. Like, okay, we can actually help people with this tech.
Hmm.
We tried doing that. We launched it. We just like made an open platform. We were like, hey, companies, if you can just post your jobs, and if anybody's submitted the information on that, like open marketplace, like they will automatically get matched to that role, and then you can talk to them. So that is the whole idea. So we launched a campaign. It didn't work as well as we thought it would because at the end of it, like you still need to do marketing and like made people aware that something like this exists. So we launched it. We got super excited. We let our network know, and few people did use it, but it didn't do because we didn't have the marketing money
Hmm.
to do it. But that gave us a lot of hope, and that gave us an idea that we need to like work more on the technology, just on a product, because the product does solve a problem at a level, but especially how the recruitment industry is set up is that it's a very crowded
Hmm.
market, right? Like, I mean, there are so many different products, but all of these products eventually need to rely on a technology that can help them process information correctly. So that layer is very scarce. So we started focusing, so we started thinking backwards, like, so we started going to as back as possible. And we said, like, you know what, we'll start working with recruitment software companies and start building a technology stack in a way that can, help power and actually solve problems at a wider level because every company hires in every single location in a very different way. So we cannot reach everyone. So the one way to reach was at that point we thought is like, okay, at least we can work with companies that have some customers. We don't have any customers. So that's what we did. Like, so that led to that pivot and gave us a sense of purpose in a different direction. That I think. But apart from that, I think we all managed how we all did, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's a perfect segue into. I love asking just like the general question to really clarify for the audience, probably more than anything else,
Yeah, yeah,
on the like, who primarily does your business serve? So the way I like to just set this up, and I know you've kind of hit some pieces and some threads on this already, but to like set it up for the audience, if I'm in the audience, I'm watching this later on. How do I
yeah,
know that I'm a really good fit, or I've got a business that's a really good fit to use your services, or I might know somebody in my network that I've got to refer over to y'all?
yeah. So if you're a business that is doing any kind of hiring every month, right? I mean, at least say 3 to 5 hires at the minimum per month, and you're struggling with that, like you feel like there's too much manual work and you need a little bit help to streamline that, then we are the best fit for you. I mean, of course, like if you could be an RPO company, you could be a staffing company, you could be a franchise, you could be a nursing home, it could be anyone as long as they have, they're hiring per month. I mean, the more the better for us, and the more help we can do if you are hiring, say, like 100 people per month. But that's where we start.
Beautiful. And I know you mentioned we'll just call it the recruitment space in general is fairly crowded
Yes.
in today's day and age. How do y'all like differentiate yourselves? Like when it comes to being able to kind of articulate, what makes you different and it
Yeah.
makes like y'all unique compared to some of the other options out there. Maybe not exact, direct competitors, but kind of some different options out there for I don't know, companies that are looking to recruit. Um, how do you articulate that? What does that look like to say this is why we're a really good fit versus this super crowded marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to 2020, right? Like when we decided to deep dive into technology. So one thing that happened during the time is like we worked with hundreds of vendors across US, Europe, India, Asia to understand like how they go about building a product and selling their customers. So they would use our technology to build the product. So that gives an understanding about like how different products are built. And one thing that we learned was that even end customers are like tired of using hundreds of systems. Like they love something that they can, like they need to consolidate that. So two things. What makes us unique is that we have built the whole architecture in-house. So that gives us the ability of quality control, right? Cost control and reliability. So these are the three things. And we take out something called login fatigue. We will not add to your existing systems, but can make your systems like supercharged, like almost make it run on steroids. So we don't like affect your user behavior. We don't affect like add another like chunky system that you also have to manage to do one more work, but it fits within your existing ecosystem and it doesn't cause a dent in your pocket like other systems do. So I think that's like quality at the highest ROI, if you have to put it this way.
That's awesome. Truly awesome. How about marketing? I know you mentioned a few different things there, but I always loved, especially with where the business is today. Maybe,
Yeah,
I'm sure this has changed and grown as the business has changed and grown.
yeah, yeah.
But like, what's the philosophy behind marketing today? Are there any we'll say marketing channels that have worked better than others for you, or is there anything that maybe you've tested and you're like, wow, that really did not work, and on the other side, like, wow, that one really worked, or kind of anything like that? I'd love to just kind of get your thoughts on what marketing looks like for you today.
Yeah. So one channel that worked really well was for us was like exhibiting at conferences. Like
Hmm.
conferences catered towards HR people because that's where uh, they come most and talk. And if you're presenting, they come and talk to you. They understand your problems, and you have a chance to like connect with other partners and vendors. Because again, it's a crowded marketplace, right? So there's too much noise in the market. So cold email marketing doesn't work at all in HR space because every HR is probably getting like 100 emails every day, like all saying the same messages, right? Because if you think about the problem in this whole space, it's very simple. Like, how can you hire the right people at a simple process with the right cost, right? So the problem is very simple. Like, I mean, it's a very simply framed, but there are like thousands of solutions. There are thousands of ways to come at it, right? So
Hmm.
I think HRs and the talent acquisition teams themselves are burdened by this marketing messaging from everyone, including now with the AI, like everybody. So I think that's why like it's very important to cut through the noise. So the core email marketing is a little bit hard because nobody reads it. Conferences work the best. Thought leadership. If you can partner with like HR leaders or leaders in this industry, like thought
Hmm.
leadership or thought leadership influence, that works the most. So we are trying to set up that way, like where we try to work with talent acquisition consulting companies where they already have networks. So the marketing needs to build trust. Like that's how I see it. Like so we try to build trust in the market as compared to just do digital marketing and just go out for email marketing.
I love that. I love the just the context of what has worked, what hasn't worked, kind of the awareness that you all have out there. It's refreshing to kind of hear that. So thank you. But no, it's fun to kind of talk through the different things because especially when it comes to the vast differences of businesses out there from
Yeah.
e-commerce or like retail type things. That's gonna be very different than the industry that you're in or even the industry that we're in. It's highly relationship based, and it's you got to take conversations and things like that. It's not just a you know people see an email and one click buy and it tends to work. So it's fun to kind of hear the context of what has worked for y'all. um, so maybe take me through the your role. So you're CEO as well as a co-founder, and maybe that role has taken on different aspects and permutations over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. But what does a CEO look like? What's kind of your job look like in the business as it sits today?
Yeah, I think at the stage where we are in, I still feel more of a founder than a CEO. Like, I mean, when I talk to large companies we are trying to sell, and when we get a chance to talk to the CEO, I'm like, wow, that's a CEO. I'm not a CEO yet, right? I'm doing stuff which is insane. So I think you do a part of everything, right? Like, except coding, I have done pretty much everything from operations, marketing, sales. My primary role, both, I think, as a founder and CEO, should be to bring in revenue and make sure the team is working to the best
Hmm.
of their ability. I'm still figuring out what it means to be a CEO, but I think these are the two primary things I focus on: is to bring in money and make sure the people who have somehow agreed to work, at our company. It still baffles me, like how people came in and like, okay, I think we'll work with you, and I think this product is cool or whatever, and work with us. They continue to work with us with the same motivation, and we have the ability to pay them every month.
Hmm. I'm always just kind of a fun question when you think of especially like where you're at today. It's like, all right, I got to wear a couple different hats, and sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's sales, sometimes it's product quality or whatever, right? Is there any kind of role or hat within the business that you one just absolutely love? Like if you could keep that one forever, like that's the one. And on the other end of the spectrum, like is there one that you're like, I have to put this on, I don't want to do it, but I don't have anyone else to give it to yet, and I can't wait to get rid of it? Kind of what's the two ends of the spectrum for you?
Yeah, so I love doing business development. I love building partnerships. I love, working with and talking with companies and understanding what exactly uh, they're trying to solve. Because, you think people in the first call, like it's 90% of the time it's always different than the solution I think they're looking for, right? Like, so I love like just building this partnership, building that trust with them. So business development partnership is what I love.
Hmm.
I would absolutely love to give over my operations side. I don't like building contracts. I don't like doing all of that. Marketing is okay, but I'm not good at it. So I understand like There are some things I don't like, but I can still be good at the operations part of it. I'm good at it, but I don't like it. Marketing, I'm not like, I'm okay with it doing it, but I'm not good at it. So these are the two things is like I would absolutely love to give away. Somebody who's amazing in marketing is somebody I would love to have first because operations I can still handle, marketing I cannot.
I love it. Awesome. Let's future forecast here for a moment. I'm
Yeah.
curious, when you look out for the next, we'll just say 3 to 5 years, where do you see the business going in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see kind of your role changing and evolving as the company grows? But maybe just kind of cast your vision for the next 3 to 5 years.
So our vision is that we want to make this tech accessible to people. So most of the products, like how they're built in the recruitment space, so they're built for large enterprises, right? They're super expensive, and rarely it leads down to like SMBs and smaller companies, and
Hmm.
rarely like candidates. No, anybody cares about candidates. So people like everybody cares about the top 10%, or the top 10% talent where everybody goes after. They have no problem finding a job. But what about 90% of us, right? So the vision is how do we make this product accessible to pretty much everyone, where it's helping both the candidates and smaller companies scale. Like meet find the right fit on both ends. That's what we want to do eventually.
I love it. And I'm excited to see all of that continue to
Yeah.
develop and happen over the next few years. It's probably one of my we'll call it more favorite things of getting to do these conversations in this podcast is hearing where things are going. And I'm excited to like look back in 3 years from now and be like, oh man, all these things are happening. It's really cool. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. Well, I know we've covered a tremendous amount of information and just kind of thoughts and such, and I'm sure we could sit here for another hour and really dive in. But I want to be respectful of time, and I've got a few rapid fire questions that
Yeah, for sure.
I always like to just see if we can pull out some wisdom nuggets for the audience, that sort of thing. So, as you look at your journey overall, from being in other businesses to co-founding this business to growing it and all of that kind of stuff, what would you say for you has been kind of your key to success?
My key to success, I think, patience and just persistence. Like just I wouldn't. Okay, so first of all, I wouldn't yet consider myself successful from industry perspective. We are still pursuing success, but I think patience is the way I think the startup market is world is now set up is that everybody's like trying to like go super fast. But the best part is I think the way like to actually understand the problem, you have to spend time
Hmm.
even if you like it or don't like it. I don't. I mean, initially I was a little frustrated, but I was like, yeah, we have to do it.
Oh, that is definitely the key within business there in general is there's all those times and there might be some frustration that pops
Yeah,
up. But no, you bring up a good point. I might have to start asking some questions on like the definition of success before I ask that question. So I like it. Gave me a note here. All right. Next one here is advice. If you could leave just say one piece of advice, I'm sure you could give tons from your lessons and things like that. But if you could leave just one piece of advice for the other entrepreneurs, the other business owners out there, what would you want to give them?
so I think there are already so much advice out there, right? Like, and I don't feel like I'm an expert, but the only thing I would say, like, find your own way. I mean, there's already so much advice and information. Rather than mimicking, try to just build your own way. That's, I
Excellent.
guess, yeah,
I like it.
yeah,
Um, How about book recommendations? Now, I will preface this with I realize that not everybody is a huge reader, so if you have a book recommendation, we'll go with that. If not, we'll just say content in general. So it could be
yeah.
I love this one podcast, or I binge watch these three YouTube channels, or whatever it is. But any recommendations you would give to the audience on book or some sort of learning content that they could go check out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm reading this book called Visual Intelligence by Amy E. Herman. And that book's actually like it's a really good book because it makes you think about like how do you like observe things around you and how even like seemingly these very simple things can lead to much bigger things and how much information we just miss on a daily basis.
Hmm,
It's a great book, right? Like I mean, it just makes you realize like wow, I'm actually just moving through life 80% of the time, not giving any thought to what is happening around me and just moving towards that. So from that perspective, it's good. Like it helps you like see how things could be connected.
nice.
Yeah.
I get to add another new book to my list. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. It's
yeah.
always fun when I get new ones. And then I'm like, oh, I've got so many to read yet. So that one gets to go on the list. Um, all right, one more of these rapid fire, and then we'll start to kind of move into the ending of the conversation here. But this one's just kind of fun. If you could choose just one area in your business, and that's key, you only get to choose one spot where you could take a little bit of magic dust and sprinkle that dust all over that one spot in your business. Wake up tomorrow, it's 10 times better than it is today. Where would you choose to put that magic dust?
uh, I need a lot of magic dust, by the way, for different areas of the business. Um, but I would say marketing. I think if it needs to be overnight better, like 10x or 100x, it needs to be marketing and awareness of the product in the
Hmm.
market to everybody who needs it.
That's a good place to use it. It's
Yeah,
always,
yeah,
I think that's a good place to use just like in general for most businesses, but yeah, fantastic. I love it.
yeah.
All right. Before we get to the final question, I always like to end kind of our conversations on, uh, for the audience that wants to, pick up and continue to follow the things that y'all are doing, that want to connect with you individually, that want to learn more about the business overall. Where can we tell them to go for more information?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Prakhar Agrawal on LinkedIn. Our website is SenseLoaf AI, and we have a contact page so you can reach out to there. You can reach out to me by email, prakhar@senseloaf.com. And I'm pretty responsive on LinkedIn. I like to go through every single messenger and connection request I get on LinkedIn. I review the profile, so I would love to connect and learn from anyone I can.
Excellent. Well, I will put all that in the video description below. And yes, for those of you that are watching this later on or listening to this later on, make sure that you go click on the links, especially on LinkedIn. Like literally go out there, find him on LinkedIn there, send a direct message, say, "Hey, saw you on the Business Spotlight. Phenomenal
Yeah,
conversation." Even if you just leave it at that, start there because it's always good to make some connections, especially for those of us here in the Central Texas market. So highly, highly, highly encourage everyone go and check out all the information. All right. As we wrap up, I always like to end on one very specific question, and that is simply, what is most inspiring to you today?
what is most inspiring to me today? I think just the whole technology race that is going on, right? Like you open
Mm,
up LinkedIn and you're like, wow. And when I say technology, just not in software, but like every other aspect, like I think people have started using technology in climate change, like for waste management, right? Like for food tech, clean tech, like you put up any industry and there is somebody doing something absolutely amazing. And when I look at it, I'm like, wow, I think that's super cool. And that kind of like keeps me a little inspired that, we are living in this age. And I always think like it's something that happened like 100 years ago in the Industrial Revolution. We're going through that AI and tech revolution where we'll probably 6 years down the line, we'll look back at this decade, the next 5 years
mm.
and the last 5 years and say like, yeah, this was the time when, you know, how we worked and how we use technology in life changed.
Ooh, that is really inspiring. That is awesome. Well, Prakar, I want to say thank you again for taking the time. This has been a genuine pleasure for me. A awesome way to spend the start of a Friday afternoon. So thank you so much for being here and just sharing a bit of your story. And highly encourage all you that are watching, go connect, make some reach out, all of that fun stuff. So please take a moment to do that. But Prakar, thank you again for taking the time.
Absolutely, Daniel. And thank you so much for taking the time you do. I think the way you have created this environment is super nice and like makes me feel more comfortable to like talk about these things. So thank you for that.